Hi, this is just a quick example of how to create a Universal Analytics tag within Google Analytics now that it's moved over to Google Analytics 4. Now, Google Analytics changed recently and it's moving over to a new version which is very different and uses different tags and codes for tracking. You'll see that the home page and the layout of Analytics is very different. And the tracking code that you use within your site is different as well. So under property settings we've got a property ID rather than the code that we're used to, which is the UA dash and then a number. Now the problem is that there's a lot of WordPress plugins and examples out on the web that use the old Analytics code. But if you go into Google Analytics now and set up a new property within your account, it will take you through the steps of setting up a GA4 property, and you won't have that UA code that you need for putting into, say, a WordPress plugin or into Tag Manager or wherever. And so this is quite different to what we've had to do before. So while we should all be moving over to Google Analytics 4, in the short term, we still want to be able to use a Universal Analytics property to work within our existing code. And they're still in there, they're just sort of hidden. So as an example, we'll create a new Google Analytics property for a site and we'll generate a Universal Analytics code. So if we go into our admin, we'll create a new property, and you might recognize this. We put in our property name, so the name of the website, my demo website, and we set the country, time zone and the currency. Now if we were to click next here, it would take us through the rest of the steps, and then what we would do is we would end up with a GA4 configure property. Instead, if we click on Show Advanced Options, you'll see that we get the option here to create a Universal Analytics property. Turn that on, and here we'll put in our website URL. So www.thisisnotarealsite.co.uk. And then below, what we've got is an option to create either both a Google Analytics 4 and Universal Analytics property, or we can just create a Universal Analytics property only. A couple of things. If we just create a Universal Analytics property only, then it will prompt us and give us an option to upgrade it to GA4 once it's created, and it'll be in the admin options. If we create both, then we'll have two properties listed within Google Analytics, but be aware also that within an account you can only have 50 properties, and so what you're doing is with every property that you're adding, you're taking up 2 of those slots rather than just 1. Having said all of that, I think it's probably worth creating both, because the obvious direction for all of this is for us to start adopting Google Analytics 4, and so it's worth having it set up. So I'll do this, and I'll leave this checked for both of them at the moment. So we've got our site name in, and we'll click on next. We're just going to give it a little bit of information about the website. So I'll just click on those. And so once that's configured, because we've said we want both Google Analytics 4 and Universal Analytics, it shows us the GA4 settings. And again, this here is our measurement ID. And if you tried copying that and popping it into some code that was generated, in the last couple of years, it won't work because it expects a UA at the beginning of it. So instead, we're going to find our Universal Analytics version of the site, and if we go back, you see we'll have my demo website here is listed as well. So we've got the 2 sites listed, my demo website And this is Universal Analytics, and we have our tracking ID in the way that we had it before. So that's the ID that you can pop into your plugins, your code, or into Google Tag Manager and be able to use in the way that we've been using Google Analytics in the past.